Well, that didn't take long. So let's talk about it. So I'm kind of going to weigh in a little bit on the latest kind of drama in the motorcycle community. I've talked about it before, about the toxicity that is becoming really prevalent in the motorcycle community. And, a lot of people I ain't gonna say a lot of people because I'm a small fry, but people commented and got a little mad at me when that whole S1K rocket thing came out. And I noticed that a lot of people didn't speak about it for whatever reasons. But the latest drama that seems to be catching fire, it's got legs and it's like spreading everywhere like wildfire, is the Adobo Moto situation. And the first part that I even heard about this even happening is, I think Matthew Woods had posted like a video responding to Adobo Moto, saying stuff about, when he was talking about the influencer track day, and it seemed like he was kind of downing the influencer track day. And he had his own opinion about, what was going on. I think some of his opinion was very valid, and it kind of got lost in translation because of his demeanor in the video, which came across pretty, he was pretty agitated, as you can see. I don't know if you can still find that video, but again, people clipped it and have reposted it a number of times. So though you may not be able to find the original clip that he did, other people have since then, like Matthew Woods has since then reposted the videos. But that was kind of my first introduction into what the hell was going on. And, the internet is a very unforgiving place, man. It is a place that you can freely express your opinions. You can freely state facts and prove them. But all in all, the internet is just a really big place for us to speak our minds. And not everybody's going to agree with you. And so seems like it was just one of the situations where something was being promoted, aka an influencer track day. I believe it was called something else, like some type of racing association before, and then kind of turned into influencer track day kind of thing. And basically Adobo just did not kind of feel what was going on, I guess. I think from there, that video got a bunch of shit stirred up from other big influencers who are also in the same community, such as like Yammy Noob, even Jixabra, probably being the most notable, had their opinions on it. There were other people as well who kind of said the take was a very, very bad take, and it was. One thing that I can respect about Adobo Moto is that he apologized and he took ownership. And he made it very clear that his opinion was not relayed the best, right? I don't think there was anything wrong with what he said, but how he delivered it, according to his words, it didn't come across as it should have been, right? So I think people just kind of ran with it. And since then, it seems like people have been kind of baiting responses from him. And these responses that he had been making towards other YouTubers who had a reaction to his reaction video, it's kind of just stirred the pot and kept things going, and the beefs are growing. It's becoming very, very toxic. And we're getting to the point to where this morning, I looked on my social media, or I looked on my Instagram and saw that Matthew Woods had posted up another video with Adobo's, his likeness, his face, or I guess Adobo had made another video, and Adobo had commented or, alluded to the fact that Jixabra is kind of a creep, and that while he didn't pass judgment, it could have been perceived as so. And the reason why I'm saying it's perceived as so is because other people have already taken up the mantle saying that he's threatening Jigsaw. So now everybody's just clipping anything that he says and they're turning it into the narrative, whatever that they're trying to spin. To be clear, from what I've gathered is that these are allegations, right? And I think the seriousness of the allegation is why people are kind of saying, oh, he's attacking Jigsaw, right? Being accused of being a PDF file, if you can't read between those lines, go, I don't know, you're living under a rock. But to be allegedly accused of being a PDF file is a very, very serious thing. I mean, it is super serious. It's a claim that could or that should land you in jail, behind bars. It's a very, very serious claim. Somebody's brapping right now. Somebody's having a good time. But it's a serious claim. It's a serious allegation. And what I saw this morning was Matthew Woods kind of just, again, like posting a video where it's something Adobo had said could be misconstrued as an attack or even as a claim, you know what I mean? As a claim. And I responded because based on what I saw, my response was, if I was Jigsaw, I would be trying to sue the flex out of Adobo. And the reason being is because it looks like you're co-signing. It looked like he was co-signing these allegations. Obviously, Adobo, I was surprised Adobo did respond. So I responded back. He didn't respond to my initial post, but when I saw him actually responding in that thread, I responded to his comment and said, you seriously have to, that's all basically like, a synopsis, like you seriously have to be very careful with what you're implying because it has legal ramifications. To call somebody a PDF file has serious implications legally. And I think he responded and said, like, I never claimed or I never accused them of it. And I'm just gonna say that how I responded was basically like, whether it's a true allegation or not, you have to look at yourself. You have to look at what you've built, your brand, what you're trying to build, what you're trying to continue to build, things of that nature. I'm like, you have a huge community that you've built, and the simple fact that if you make a video implying something or just perpetuating something, it could have legal ramifications on you, whether it's true or not. The fact that you have such a big audience, the implication could do a lot of damage, right? Now I know it's like kind of like a tit for tat. Jigsaw said something, he has to respond, this and that, tit for tat. But what I was trying to get through to him was that this could easily be flipped like on you. It could get to the point where people are going to start saying stuff about you that they're just going to pull out of their ass. They're going to pull it out of thin air. You know what I mean? And then you're going to be faced with allegations of something that has absolutely no merit to it or could have no merit to it, or and things like that. And, he responded and said, I'm going to reach out to you, blah, blah, blah. I am not going to talk about that conversation. But what I will say is that the guy, Adobo Moto, he's very passionate. And the only thing I will say, I think he said it in public before, so I don't think I have a problem saying this, is that he admitted to having a bit, you know, he admits to having a big ego, and it's hard for him not to respond. I think he said this in public, so I don't feel bad saying it, but I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna say anything about the conversation. But he has legitimate, Adobo has legitimate claims, and he has a legitimate right to defend himself. It just kind of opened my eyes up to know that what's really going on right now, that you're seeing from like other creators that are implying or implicating that Adobo Moto is trying to attack. It's pretty obvious at this point that that's really not the case. It seems more or less that because of his opinion stemming from the influencer track day, which he doesn't want to attend, which he's not going to attend, is that people have found a way to kind of publicly lynch the guy. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now. We're seeing people take anything that he's saying or that he posts, that he's deleted and whatnot, and they're spinning it into a narrative to basically kind of tank the guy, to kind of destroy what he's built. You know, you cannot let people bait you into this ego match, because at the end of the day, all they really want to see is you fall, right? I will say that in a synopsis, what I was kind of telling him was that, dude, you've built up a massive following, you know, a cult community, if you will, which, you know, all these bigger guys have, like Fastlane D, IMK, you know, they all have like a really strong cult following. They're growing by the day. They got so much going on for them. And I'm like, you have so much going on for you that you shouldn't give these guys fire and ammo that they're just going to use against you to destroy you. Because at this point, that's kind of all, you know, you'd be doing it to yourself by giving them the ammo. You know, by doing the responses, all they're gonna do is just clip that and use it for their own, you know what I mean, use it for their own narrative. And you shouldn't let anybody monetize off of you unless they're paying you, you know what I mean? So, you know, I just kind of told him, you know, like, damn, dude, you know, don't let them do it to you, man. Don't let them do it to you. You've built up so much. You're a family man. You know what I mean? You've got responsibilities. You've got brands. You've got deals. These are things that people kind of wish that they had. You know what I mean? I'm not at that stage yet. I'm not at that point yet. I'm the small fry of the small fries. But, you know, when you reach that level to where you have a lot of influence, and when you have those types of opportunities to get brand deals and to, you know, make money and do big things, do things in a bigger way, you know, you shouldn't look at don't be very careful about what you post at that point, because it's not all about just you anymore. Anything that you say or anything that you can be implicated in is going to have a ripple effect on the things that you've built, the relationships that you've built in the professional world. You know, like I said, like brands, brand deals and things like that. You know, once these stupid allegations, or once these stupid, you know, back and forth social media toxic wars get to these brands that back you, you know, brands are very finicky. You know what I mean? It could get to a point where they say, hey, look, you know, we're breaking ties. We're breaking ties with you. You know what I mean? We don't want to be involved or seen to be involved with supporting a person. Just fucking, God damn it. Stupid wasp. Oh, he's coming back, you motherfucker. But I was just like, you know, these brands are finicky, man. And like, they can get to a point where they're like, hey, look, we don't want to, you know, continue this relationship. Like, we don't want to be a part of drama that is gotten so big that it's, you know, it's getting to eyes that are, you know, bigger than just the average Joe on social media. And so I was like, just don't let it happen. And that's kind of for everybody, man. This fucking wasp. This wasp, dude. Get the fuck away. We're going to continue this conversation in the room. But like I was saying, just don't mess up your money. Don't mess up your money. Don't mess up what you got going on for you, because other people are trying to kind of like use your platform to kind of come up, right? Some of these people don't even like Matthew Woods don't even need the come up off of him. But like any other genre, whether it's music, filmmaking, anything, tech reviews, drama sells, right? Drama sells. And it could have just unfortunate effects on the people involved. So again, I just kind of mentioned that, there are a ton of I'm saying a ton. There are YouTubers out there that are kind of running with the narrative, you know what I mean? That, he's doing this stuff and all this stuff. And it's just like, damn, dude, just if you stop responding, they have no more ammo. You know what I mean? They have no more ammo. And again, I think what ended up happening is that according to Adobo, that which he said publicly, not our conversation, but what he said publicly is that basically the only reason why he did not want to do the little track day thing is because, he has a history with Max Wrist, I believe. And the guy who's like, putting together this whole thing is Mad Max. And because he has this history with Max Wrist, that's why he declined. And I don't think a lot of people know that. So I think they just I think what ended up happening is that, again, I don't know who said what, but the general consensus came back that he didn't want to go to the track day because of all of these other YouTubers. And I think that's kind of where the fire started, where the fire lit. And he didn't help himself, like I said, by putting out that frustrating video where he was obviously agitated. It kind of made what the fable that went out have more credit. You know what I mean? So he didn't do himself a favor. But I'm just saying all this to say that this is a small community. The motorcycle community is very, very small, and because of social media, there are certain individuals that stand out amongst others, and a lot of people kind of work together. But this community is very, very small. So to help clean up the toxicity, man, we shouldn't just be talebearers, man. You shouldn't be a talebearer. You shouldn't just run with something because you think you're going to get views. You shouldn't do it because you want to monetize off of somebody else's name, kind of thing. And now I kind of understand why there weren't very many bigger influencers, bigger motovlogger YouTubers that commented on a situation with like S1K Rocket, right? Not necessarily because they didn't find it beneficial for the community to kind of like educate them necessarily, but simply because though it was an event that happened, you can kind of, I won't say destroy, but you can kind of cause damage to an individual to a certain extent by speaking on a situation that you really don't know. And I'm not saying that nobody knew the story, because at that point, the media, all news channels, all media channels had put out all of his information. So it wasn't like if they would have talked about it, it would have been a rumor of such. Like the Adobo Moto situation, with Jigsaw and all that BS. S1K's Rocket situation is a little different, but I understand why people didn't want to speak on it, because it's kind of like hitting a man when he's already down, and it, so to speak. But my issue is that people that have bigger platforms should have found a way to kind of educate their own communities, their own support base, their own subscriber base. Use that as a chance to educate them on better riding habits. And I think that's kind of why these guys are trying to do track days. And I think it's a good idea, because it does put safer riding in a better light to the community. Like, if you really, really want to go fast, if you really, really want to see what these bikes are meant to be, how they're meant to run, you know, go to the track. And again, I think the biggest thing that Adobo is trying to get through is that because all of these guys have so much influence, including himself, announcing a track day as like a racing association kind of thing, right? You know, like an influencer racing association. It's almost like the you know, the YouTuber boxing thing, you know, how that took off. Some people see it as a slap to the face to like professionals who grind all day, every day, trying to become somebody and well known. And then you have these influencers who they're not even known for boxing, but they're trying to take up the sport. And it's kind of seen by a lot as kind of like a mockery. Like, same thing with the racing. You have a lot of guys out there. And, you know, I'm kind of guilty of this too, because I like to watch World Superbike. I like not so much MotoGP, but even so, you know, people who are casuals tend to just look at the bikes, what bikes are competing. That's kind of all we kind of care about. But every guy that's on that bike has put in so much work, sweat, blood, tears, broken bones, you know, broken ribs, broken feet, broken hands, fighting recoveries to get back into the game. They put a lot on the line to get worldwide recognition in that sport. And because a lot of us casuals don't really know the riders that are on those bikes. You know, it's kind of sad because while they may be recognized in their world, you know, their small racing world, they don't have that influence like the Adobo Motos, the Fast Lane Ds, the guys who just have absolutely no racing pedigree, right? They have way more reach. They have way more recognition that a lot of these guys, a lot of these professionals wish that they had, and they don't understand it. And so I think it's more easy for those guys to kind of hate when they see like influencer track day, racing days, racing associations. It's like, oh my God, I've been doing this shit since I was like 10, or, you know what I mean? Sometimes a little earlier on pocket bikes. And I've been grinding at this to be a professional, and these guys have no pedigree, and everybody's paying attention to them. You know what I mean? So, you know, everybody has an opinion, and I think everybody has a valid opinion to a certain extent. I just hate to see it, man. I hate to see it, but I definitely wanted to clear that up with Adobo because, again, implications can land you into hot water sometimes, especially if people gang up and want to see you go down. What could seem like something very harmless can turn into something very, very big and devastating for all parties involved. So to the guys out there that are continuing to perpetuate the allegations, I would just seriously stop. I would seriously stop. If you're not in Jigsaw circle, his small circle, if you're not in Adobo's small circle, I would probably refrain from making matter-of-fact statements on a situation that you know nothing about. I'm pretty sure Jigsaw doesn't appreciate it. I don't think a lot of people even realize the severity and the just the damage it could do to even be accused of an allegation like that. But how hurtful it can be to see other bigger influencers in your space continue to perpetuate it, knowingly or unknowingly, how much damage it could do for you. You know what I mean? So big ups to Adobo. He apologized, and a lot of people don't want to do that. He apologized, and like I said, a lot of people don't do it. And I'm just kind of hoping this shit just is like water under a bridge, and people can get back to what we like to do best, and that's ride. You know what I mean? Absolutely ride. And that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. You're gonna have people in the space that love track. You're gonna have people in the space that love the street. You're gonna have people in the space that love to stunt. You're gonna have people in the space that love to, I ain't gonna say pose, but there's other little subgenres within this community that people like to do. Bike talk. It's just, informational videos, customizers, rebuilders, or bike builders or rebuilders, flippers. There's so much substance to the motorcycle community that there's enough room for everybody to exist and be successful. We don't have to be crabs in a bucket where we just try to climb off the success of somebody else because we see an opportunity to come up. I don't want this video to be like that. I just want people to see that, damn, like the things that we do, the things that we say that could be, that are toxic, it just needs to stop because there's enough room for all of us. Peace.